Hello and welcome to the first of what will probably be many videos that I'm going to be recording about our latest product, Web Access Management. So I thought the first video I would do would be really just to showcase kind of five really kind of tight use cases for the product, and then with going through those, maybe you can see, some, who knows, maybe all of the use cases, how they would relate to problems that you'd like to try and solve in your business. So let's get started on the very first use case, which is essentially locking down all browser and download abilities apart from maybe even just a specific site and a specific download. So let's go and have a look at that. Okay, so here we are on the Zero Trust platform, and we've got Web Access Management selected. So I'm going to go to a subsetting. So basically, when you first get admin bar request as an agent, you have the EPM, you have the secure remote access, you have the Web Access Management, and you will generally start with what we call global settings. So these would be the default settings for every endpoint that you deploy admin bar requests on. If you want to have different settings for different groups of users or computers, you need to use subsettings, and that's what I've done. I've created two. I've got one subsetting for users and another subsetting for the help desk, and that will become apparent in a short while. So we're going to go into the users subsetting, and for this first use case, we wanted to create a very restricted type of setup. So we've got no kind of ability to request permission to download, no ability to even request permission to browse, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do two things. So the first thing is we're going to allow permission to browse certain websites, and I've got two in here, adminbarrequest.com of course, and also the Rufus, which is a USB formatting tool. So you can see here that I've got the admin bar request website that works very nicely. Lovely new homepage, and then I'm going to also just go and check out rufus.ie like so, and then you can see that I can browse that website. But if I was to go and try and browse another website, so for example CyberDuck, the FTP client, you can see I'm denied. Okay, so that all works very nicely. So let's go back to Rufus, and then we can go and try to download. So with Web Access Management, we want to separate the right to browse from the right to download. So you can see here I've allowed browsing using the site control rule. If I go into the app control, you can see I have a rule in here for the certificate of Rufus, but I don't have this enabled. So if I try to download Rufus via this link, I will get a deny, which is absolutely expected. So let's go back, and I'm going to now turn on this rule like so. Here we go, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing. So I'm going to click on the same link. And there we have it. And you can see just as the download finished, we did a little malware scan. And once that goes through, because this has been whitelisted, we're not going through the approval process. Remember, we turned that off. And then because I also have the EPM on this system, we also have the EPM now prompting the user if they actually want to run the file that's being downloaded. But the file itself is, you're going to find it still in the same place. So there's no need for users to learn a new way to handle downloads. They're just being presented with forms if approval is enabled, or as you've seen here, they're going to get block messages if it's denied, and if it's allowed, it just comes down as per normal. So really that's the first use case, which is kind of restricted browsing and downloading with also full logging. So if we go into the audit log over here, you can see here is the block. This is what we did first. So you can see that I tried to download this before I turned on the pre-approval rule, and then when I turned that on, the download was allowed, and you can see where it was downloaded from. Interesting, you can see it's actually come from GitHub, which is kind of interesting, because if I was using a content category-based blocking system that allowed me to access the Rufus website, it possibly could have denied me from accessing GitHub, even though that's just what I want. So this is a really good use case to show you that basically we just care about the download, not necessarily the rules that determine where that download lives. And that's a really good point there. So anyway, that is the first use case, and we're going to move on now to the second use case, which is browsing with a approved browser and with approval turned on. So let's go and turn that on then. So back to the subsetting. Go to here, and where we turned off allow downloads, that's now going to be turned on. I'm going to put approval on, like so, and I'm going to allow browsing, and I'm going to allow the blocked sites to be requested. So that means that if I block a site, and that's something we'll do in a minute, the users will be able to request access to that site for just one time. So that's again a big advantage over those allow or block URL rules or categorization blocking systems that you see nowadays. So I've set those rules here, and because we pre-approved Rufus, we'll probably do something different. I think what we're going to do is we'll have a go with CyberDuck. So let's just go in here and do CyberDuck download. Okay, so you can see now that I'm allowed to browse. I was blocked before. I'm going to go and click on download CyberDuck, and there it goes, and I'm going to click on the link here to download the installer. So if I click on this, like so, I'm going to be shown a request form. Okay, so as a user, it's pretty obvious what I have to do. There's some instructions here. I need to request a download. I can see on the right hand side the vendor. I can see the actual file, the size, and I can go ahead and ask for permission. So can I download CyberDuck for FTP access to systems? Okay, I'm going to submit that request. Off it goes. Now, if you're familiar with admin by request EPM or SRA, you will be also familiar with the request system, and this is the one of the really big benefits of having the web access management solution in the same platform, is because you get exactly the same experience when it comes to requests and approvals. And you can see here I've got the person who wants the download, what the download is, who makes it. We've got some scores, we've got the metadata, so we know that the file that is to be requested is clean, because it's been passed through and interrogated by all of those metadata engines. I can see the link. I can also see that it's not hosted on CyberDuck's website themselves. It's hosted over at a CDN, which is good to know, and the business use case there as well. So I'm going to go and click approve, and you can see real time the user will get the notification, and I'm going to click on yes to go for that download. So we start downloading, and you can see a nice progress bar there. And then once that is downloaded, we do the malware scan, and then that is released, and then it appears in exactly the same place as your download would have always appeared. So it's not like the user has to learn anything new. And again, our EPM is on and is now prompting the user if they want to run and install this package as well. So that will, if that was to go ahead, you'd see, first of all, you'd see the log in the audit log of the download, which you see here, and you'll see if it's been approved and who approved it and how long it took to be approved and all the other stuff. But also in the EPM logs, you would see that that file was being installed. So you know where it's come from and when it was installed, which is super useful. So that is the second use case, which is kind of ad hoc approvals for downloads you get to decide, you know, what is being downloaded, by who, on what, and perhaps even when. It's possible that you don't want to approve them to download it right now. You want to do something else, and then you're going to check it, and then maybe later on you can approve it. So that is such a huge improvement in terms of productivity over the traditional black and white blocked allow URL list category content system. Anyway, so the next use case we're going to have a look at now is actually personally one of my favorites, and it comes from a feature that we have in our EPM, which is called Support Assist. So the point of Support Assist is that you have users which have settings of kind of various restriction, and then you have your help desk team that need to help users. Now, it's typical for help desk teams to be kind of fully privileged, so they have, you know, full admin rights and full permission to do anything and download anything, and that's a real risk. In fact, you know, when we talk about zero trust, we talk about zero trust for all users, so not just your kind of users of your endpoints, but also use the help desk. Help desk team are users too. So we still want the help desk team to go through and use the EPM to have minimal privileges, and we also want them to have to go through the web access management. If you hear about, you know, really bad supply chain attacks, it's quite common these days for those attacks to have been initiated not necessarily by the user, but by someone in the help desk team downloading something in order to help and fix a problem for a user, because they're overprivileged in terms of admin rights, but also overprivileged in terms of browsing and download rights. Remember, we separate out now the right to download versus the right to browse. So let's have a look at the current settings. So we're talking about the Support Assist calling in a different set of settings. So we've got the user settings here, and then we've got a help desk setting here. And the only thing you need to do to get this to work is you just have to create the subsetting, create a group with the help desk members, and then you have help desk members in that group, and then you just have to set the settings with the lesser restrictions. So we don't have approval on, and maybe we don't have any blocking on. And at this point, I realized that I didn't put any blocks in. So why don't we go and put a block in first, just so we can just show how the blocking works. So I'm going to put in a site block. Okay, so there's one for java.com. So I'm going to enable that. Let me just, okay, so I'm going to go to www.java.com, and I should not be allowed to browse that website. So I can't download anything, well, I can't actually access the java.com website, which would also mean that I can't download. But for the part of this little demo, I'm just going to show you that I can't actually even get on the java.com website. So let's say I have a problem with my system, and I actually do need to get something, you know, a version of Java to fix a problem with my computer. I don't want users just downloading Java as and when. So I've got to call a help desk, and so the help desk person will come on, and they will try to download Java through the screen share, and they're going to hit this same request page, because basically those are the settings in the profile. And the reason, by the way, you get the request page here, not just a block message, was because I put on the request blocked sites thing. If I had turned that off, then this would just be a straight block. Okay, so I'm the help desk person, but we still need to access Java to download from it. So I'm going to go to About, and I'm going to initiate the Support Assist at teamabr.com. Okay, and then hit OK. And I could use, if I wanted to, I could authenticate using the single sign-on. Okay, so now I'm authenticating with the directory. I'm now using the settings of the help desk team. So the help desk team, you'll notice, do not have any blocks. If I go into here and I go into site control, there's no blocks. Okay, so I can then go to, if I want to, java.com, and I can get access to this. Okay, and I can even, if I want to, I can even download Java. There it comes. And again, all this is safe because it's all going to be interrogated by the OpSwap metaspinner. There you go. So this is really, combining this with the EPM, giving support people just enough privilege to do their jobs, what they need to do, not full privileges, and we give them just enough access for web browsing. This is really, in my view, what I would kind of term a sterile support environment. There's restrictions on what support people can do, and there's full logging on what support people are doing. So you can see here that we have the Java was downloaded, and it was downloaded by Adam. You can see here, and it was part of a support assist session. So and also, if I wanted to download something else, I wouldn't have to request approval. I mean, we can do that just now. We can do the download CyberDuck again, just to show you that when I'm in this mode, I don't have to. I'm using different settings, so I'm not having to go through that approval process, because the settings for the user, here we go, for the help desk team, don't actually apply to my user who is a help desk user. And I could apply this also in the first instance where we did the very restricted setup. I could have restricted users just allowed to browse and download from a single website. I can then use the help desk user to go in there, unlock all those restrictions, but still have a secure and safe environment for me to browse and download files for that user. Right then, so I'm going to finish this, and we're going to move on to the next part, the next part of this, which I think I'm going to let me have a quick look to see what else I can show you here. So what have we done? We have showed you. Okay, yeah. Let's have a look also at another feature, which is gives you a bit more control over the browsers that users use. So I've been using, as part of this demo, Edge, but it's possible with Web Access Management, very easily possible, to turn off web browsers that users use, and I can even specify a minimum version. So we can go ahead now, and if I was to close this browser down, okay, now we have the ability to browse, but we don't have it with Chrome. So if I was to go to, let's try that CyberDuck download again. For this, I just get a block because the browser is blocked. Okay, so that is a kind of neat feature. So it's quite likely that people in your organization, have multiple browsers. You have plugins for things like CRMs and all sorts of things, and extensions as well. So with this, you can enforce a single standard browser, which has to be of a certain version, above a certain version if you want as well. So you can kind of say goodbye to all those issues where users start the wrong browser and something doesn't work, and with this they're only able to use a certain browser. So that is a really nice simple feature. Going back to Edge, I think there's one more thing I'd like to show you, which is the VPN protection. So, and I was quite shocked to learn this, but I mean, where we started off as a kind of admin rights company, so pretty much all the stuff that involves networking would involve like installing VPN software would involve admin rights. So you can do it. You can protect yourselves from users doing that by removing their standing admin rights. So that's fantastic. However, the browser extensions that are available today, some of those users can add VPN browser extensions, and those do not need elevated privileges to install. And that can be a problem because they can use those VPN extensions to essentially bypass all sorts of security measures that you put in place. So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to go to get extensions, and I'm going to search for Planet VPN. There it is. Okay, I always forget which one it is. I think it doesn't really matter. I think these kind of probably both work, but I'll get that one. So you see, I don't need admin rights to add this extension. Okay, extension's being added. Okay, so you think, oh, and then whoopsie, what's happened here? We can see VPN detected. So we kill the browser and we disable the extension. So that is again a really simple kind of feature, but it can really make your life so much easier if you're having to manage users that have the ability to add extensions to their browsers. So first of all, you can limit what browsers they use, so they certainly can't add any extensions to Firefox because they can't even use Firefox. But then the browser that is permitted, they can't add the VPN extensions to that. And also, I will show you that if you look in the inventory for the endpoint that we're using for this demo, we can see in events that you get a nice little event to say that the extension was added and removed. So that also, remember, all these events can be sent to alerts through your SIEM system or through the API through webhooks. So this is all going to be really useful information. And this also, all of this stuff in the you've got in the audit log is going to be useful too. Very good. Okay, I'll just go through while I'm here. Let's just have a quick a bit of a recap then, shall we? So we create subsettings to allow different sets of web access settings for different groups of users and computers. We can allow users to download anything, or with approval, with some browsing, all browsing, and then blocking with approval with approval as well. With lockdown, we're able to limit the browsers. We're able to ban or prevent users from adding VPN extensions. We've got instructions to show users before they download or browse. We can turn on MFA at the point of download. So maybe we can enable this and we can have a look. So this is quite nice because by putting in MFA as part of that download routine, you can apply whatever conditional access to that MFA so that the user has to pass that in order to download the thing they want to download. So, I mean, you could have a geolocation thing on your MFA. So if the user is not in a certain country, they can't download a file. That's pretty interesting. So why don't we have a look at downloading something else. So maybe I'm getting a bit slightly bored of CyberDuck now, but it's just good to use the same thing so that you can get compare the workflow, so to speak. We did CyberDuck with approval, and now we're going to do it with approval, but also with the MFA challenge. So let's have a look at this. Here's the approval request. I would like to download CyberDuck, please. Keep it polite. Submit the request. That's submitted. I go to my requests, check it over. It's all good. I then hit approve. Here's my approval. And when I hit yes now, what's going to happen is I get sent to a slightly different page. This is the security check. So this is the MFA working now, and it's going to challenge me for, okay, I don't have my my key ring in, so I'm going to just use my authenticator instead. So I'm going to use this, and here we go. Just put that through. Smile for the camera. Perfect. And here we go. So download, down she comes, CyberDuck. And as usual, it's coming down, and then after download we do an extra scan, and then once that is done, we release to the browser, and then EPM, once it's landed in your downloads, will take over and offer to start the running and elevating of that file so the user can actually install the package. And that is MFA on download, which I think is super cool. There's a few other little settings here that we can just cover while we're here. We've got the device owner. Here we are. So this is a similar feature to EPM. When you deploy a Bing request, the first user or non-admin becomes the de facto owner, the unique owner of the system. So if you have owner locking turned on, if you're not the owner, so if someone else is logged into my laptop, they would not be able to perform a download. So that's cool, and that would be the case if someone I gave my laptop to borrowed it, or maybe someone unauthorized managed to get access to my laptop as them, or like via a local user, for example, they would not be able to download anything. I think this is a great security feature in its own right. And then finally over here we have Intune. So in the same way that the owner would block if you're not the owner, if the system is not Intune compliant, again, you're not downloading anything until that compliance has been cleared and sorted. Okay, so I think that's pretty much a nice little tour of the product. I think I can maybe squeeze in one more little thing for you. One more little thing. I want to show you something, which is so we have the blocking rule for Java. So I'm going to turn that off because I want to show you. I haven't actually showed you yet the blocking of a download. Blocking of a site is quite easy, when you think about the firewalls and things you have in use these days. But blocking of a download is something else, because you might want to need to browse a site. I may need to want to go to Oracle's website and do some research or API information. I want to allow users to go on the Oracle website, but I don't want them downloading Java, and I don't want them downloading anything made by Oracle apart from maybe one particular file. So let me just see how that works. So we're going to go to, where are we going to go? We're going to go to java.com again. Okay, let's go to java.com. So we turned off the block. So as the user, as the standard user, I should now be able to browse the Java website. So I can go and look at the FAQ. I can go and have a look at what is Java. I can go to the support pages. I can go to the system requirements, other help. I can use this as a useful resource if I need to. But what I can't do is download Java, because we've not allowed that. You can see in the blocking here, I'm blocking anything that is made by Oracle. So I'm going to turn this on. Okay, and then I'm going to click on this button to try and download Java. So again, I can browse the page, but can I actually download Java? So the download's going to start. Oop, no, it isn't. Oh no, Oracle downloads allowed. Okay, okay, so I guess let me have a quick look at that. Okay, so actually it has just straightforward that blocked it. I suspect that is probably because I already downloaded this file before. Previously I downloaded it, and then when you see the download complete, then you get the block. So I think that's perhaps what has happened there. So that would be the case of anything. So I don't know if there are some older versions. I don't even know if they do that, but anyway, okay. Maybe I can just get something else here. What about this one? Nope, it's not letting me have that one either. Okay, then, well, that's good. That works nicely. So that would be an Oracle certificate block. What I'm going to do now is I put in a rule here to allow me to download a specific Oracle piece of software. So, and that's called MySQL. So if I'm going to do MySQL download, that will take me to the MySQL download page, and if everything works nicely, I should be able to go to Community Edition here. And again, I'm able to browse the full content of the Oracle MySQL community area. I'm not blocked, but I am blocked to download anything else apart from this particular file here. So if I click on download of this file, this should allow me to download. And there we go. Perfect. And that's a little web installer, but you can see that downloads and the EPM prompts me to run. If I hit back, let's see what happens if I try to download the other file, which is the bigger one. Okay, so you can see here that exactly what I said happened earlier. So I had downloaded that file before we remembered it, and we blocked it without downloading because this particular file had I can see now it's a different name. We had to download it first. This is in a secure area that users can't get to, and then once it was downloaded, we can then do the interrogation. We can see that it matches the Oracle certificate, and so therefore it's blocked. And if I tried to download that again, we would get a much quicker decision on the block without needing to download it. But anyway, that is how that works. So the thing here is that the blocking rule, you can put in a blanket blocking rule for, say, Oracle, and then the pre-approval rules always take priority over the blocking rule. So that's why you can do a blanket block and then a pinhole approval to just allow specific application names in or vendors in with these rules. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for sticking with me, and hopefully you found this very quick introduction to web access management useful, interesting, and hopefully you can see some kind of useful use cases that I've shown you that could match and solve problems in your own organization. There'll be some more videos coming on this, I'm sure, in the next few weeks, but until then, bye for now. Cheerio.